Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dinah Sbelgio Kinard. I'm the Director of Admission Partnerships and Programs at St. Edward's University. It's wonderful to have you with us today for this virtual presentation about our User Experience Design program, which we are rolling out for the first time this fall here at St. Edward's, and we're really excited to share information about the program with you. A few logistics related to the webinar today. I'd like to go over, I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with Zoom at this point, but just so you know, with this webinar, we will not be using the chat feature. So any questions that you have for our presenter, please do enter those questions through the Q&A tool in the Zoom webinar tool options. You can certainly contribute your questions as we go along. And then when we get to the end of the formal presentation, we will answer all of those questions and any others that you have in an open Q&A chat. So we have about a 20 to 30 minute presentation prepared for you, and then we'll flip over to open questions and stay online as long as you have questions. So please do feel free to kind of enter your questions in the Q&A tool as you go along and hear things in the presentation that you want to know more about or come back to and get more information about. That said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Professor Kim Garza. She's Associate Professor of User Experience Design here at St. Edward's. I'm very happy to turn it over to Kim. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks so much. So what is user experience design? It's an emerging field at the intersection of design, technology, and innovation. User experience design, or UX as it's commonly referred to, brings a human-centered approach to defining problems and discovering solutions in the form of digital products like apps, websites, or software. But also it can be redesigned processes or systems, or even in the form of new businesses. UX is behind all of the digital products that you use. So whether you are shopping, or if you are trying to update your pay a bank statement, if you are deciding what you want to watch, right? These are all UX. If you're trying to get some work done, or even if you're connecting with your friends or larger network. Those products have all been designed seamlessly to fit your life. So much so that you don't even always recognize it, but you do recognize it when it's bad. So you've gotten these error messages before, right? Or your machine crashes. You get no feedback when you're on a form and they're like, if nothing's happening. You might not be able to undo a mistake that you just made, or it freezes. You might get the dreaded spinning wheel of death, or a 504 not found on a website. This is the moment where you recognize that UX has sort of failed. But when UX is good, you get this opportunity for something that's possibly delightful. It's memorable. It's definitely easy to use. It could be smart, efficient, and responsive to you. It builds trust for you. And a lot of times you don't even recognize that it's there. It's invisible. And sometimes it's even playful. And so UX, in these moments, this is what's best about UX. Now, UX is growing in prominence. It's been around for the greater part of this century, but particularly here in Austin, which is definitely a thriving tech and creative economy, right? We've got major corporations that have user experience teams, like HEB's digital team, Indeed. Oracle's about to move here, right? They've got a massive team. IBM or Amazon, USAA, the insurance, or Charles Schwab, they all have UX teams in-house working, and those are all firms here in town, and there's many more. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we have small firms and startups like 1323 or ThinkTiv and FunSize. Handsome and Argo Design, these are like product and experience design firms. And then we are kind of, Capital Factory is a hub for venture capital and entrepreneurship here in Texas. And so we've got this whole spectrum and everything in between happening right here on our doorstep, which has prompted us to actually start thinking about how can we sort of prepare students for this industry. And so This is where St. Ed's launching this fall is going to have a new degree plan in user experience design. And what's so exciting about this degree is that it's a 36-hour interdisciplinary BA, so Bachelor of Arts. It's been informed, all the curriculum has been informed by professionals in UX in Austin. It is transfer friendly, which is super exciting. And I'm going to talk a lot more about how that works a little bit later on. The program is also largely online, so most of the user experience courses will be delivered in online delivery format. And we're also excited because it gives us a chance. This degree actually is steeped in the mission of St. Ed's. So what is incorporated into this? So for the Bachelor in User Experience Design, there are about 10 required courses, which is 30 hours. And these range from things like Intro to User Experience, interactive technology, where you're kind of learning all the tools and the visual aspects of the job, of the field, coding for non-coders, and UX methods. These are all sort of form the foundation of the program. And then as you move forward in the program, you'll see here in just a second that you build and you pull all those skills together in the studio classes that follow. Professional Practices is a course that starts you thinking about how you want to sort of move into a career and getting ready for that by building a portfolio and those sorts of things. In the UX studio courses, Digital Spaces and Hybrid Modalities, that's where you pull those foundational elements together in project-based courses where you're actually making websites and apps and, or at least prototypes of apps, and things that stretch into like across the physical and the digital realm in that hybrid modalities class. In UX for Social Good, I'm super excited about this because we're going to be able to work with a community partner on a UX project. You'll do an internship as part of this degree plan, getting out there and actually making some connections and seeing what it's really like. And then our culminating experience, which sort of caps off the degree plan and your time at St. Edward's, is the UX Senior Studio class, where you get to decide what kind of a project you want to make. And that's 30 of the hours, but there are 6 more hours, which are interdisciplinary electives. And user experience design is a profession where folks have traditionally come from all different disciplines. And there's a richness to that brings to the field. And so we've tried to capture that a little bit in this interdisciplinary elective opportunity. So you would choose your 2 electives based on what your affinities are or what your interests are. So we have from communication, we have active listening, since empathy and listening is so important to be a UX designer. We also have an opportunity to take Intro to Entrepreneurship, or sort of go a little bit deeper in the visual design side of things in a GDES Lab 2. You could take some marketing if you wanted to, or general psychology to understand more of the behavior and where that comes from, or self and society to understand the sociological side of things. All right, what does that look like in terms of like what you'd be taking each semester? So if you are a traditional 4-year student, you can see here that the years are up and down and your semesters are the rows. And you've got about 1 to 2 classes each semester to complete this degree, which leaves you plenty of time for both your general education, and we're highly encouraging you taking either a double major or a minor, and I'll talk about which ones in just a moment. If you are a transfer student and you're looking for something a bit faster, you can complete the full required courses sequence within 2 years. And you see here that that's taking 3 classes each semester to get through that program. You know, that also depends on how much you transfer in, if you've got all the requirements in terms of general education or meeting your overall degree requirement of having 120 hours to graduate. But it is possible to come in and do this in 2 years. We also are offering a minor, and that is an 18-hour, it's sort of All the core stuff is there. You'll see that in the required courses. And then there also are electives, which are more still inward focused into the UX space and those courses, because you're taking this as a minor. And so therefore you've got that interdisciplinary connection if you've got another thing as your major. And we see those hopefully supporting one another. The minor, this is, you essentially can do the minor anywhere. It could take you 2 years, or all the way, you could stretch it out all the way through 4 years. So it's very flexible in that aspect. So I wanted to show you a little bit. So you've seen that, how the curriculum plays out, but I wanted to show you a little bit of work. Now you're like, wait, you don't actually have a program. No, we don't, but our graphic design program has been incorporating little bits of UX into their coursework over the last few years. And so I wanted to show you some work across sort of all of the levels of years. So for freshman to senior, and some of the sample projects that students have done. So here is a reading app where students were asked to make an app that would take an illuminated manuscript and be able to read that, be able to zoom in on it, but then also be able to translate the handwritten illuminated text into a more screen readable friendly, but yet still be searchable and all those things. So you see that here. And that was a freshman level course. In a sophomore level course, this student identified that going to Commons Ford Ranch Park is sort of like, it's really kind of tricky. When you get there, you don't know you're really there. And so she decided that she wanted to really set expectations prior to coming, and created a website for that. At the junior level, this student was looking at sort of the effects of the pandemic on student life, right? And the sort of the isolation and the lack of motivation. And she created this app prototype that that really addresses that through the act of like meditation and allowing students to sort of recenter and calm. And at the senior level, this was a senior project from a student a few years ago. And she was taking on the idea of food insecurity in college students. And her app was connecting students to free food and other food-based resources. And it was institution-based. So it was something that was, you could sign in for your institution and find out what was available around your space nearby, near your campus, on or near your campus. So one of the things that I'm really excited about this user experience design program is that it's not just a standalone that's not really thinking about what else is happening, but it's really well integrated into life at St. Edward's. And it is part of the Department of Visual Studies. And this is a really vibrant department, right? We've got art and art history, photography and media arts. We've got video game development and animation, graphic design, obviously user experience design, and visual studies. And not only are the colors really vibrant, right? But the kind of collaboration, and there's so much life in terms of student activities, in terms of student groups, workshops, hands-on workshops to go to. We've got a gallery. We've also got a lot of lectures that happen and those kinds of things. So that's a really vibrant community that we're a part of that's very collaborative and supportive. In addition, if we move sort of outside of the department, there are because we're at a liberal arts institution, there are so many amazing ties and interests that really feed into and are supportive of user experience design. So we're highly recommending, if you come in, particularly as a traditional four-year student, that you double major or find a minor that aligns with this, that just will make you just that much more prepared and well-rounded in terms of what you can offer once you get out to future employers and future projects that you'd work on. If you are a 2-year student transferring in, there's still actually time to do a minor. So we're recommending things like communications, computer science, entrepreneurship, graphic design. History also has some really interesting ties to user experience design, marketing, digital marketing, philosophy, psychology, sociology, Spanish even, video game development, and writing and rhetoric. All of these are facets that can be really valuable and useful in a UX capacity. And another exciting thing is we've been developing this, that there are a number of offices on campus who are super excited and ready to hire UX students to work during their time as students in these offices. So like instructional technology, helping to build online courses. The Monday Library is very focused on UX in terms of what's happening online with their databases and such. And then the Office of Information Technology. So already we've identified some folks who want to get you in, get some work experience before you go to get that internship and kind of spread your wings from there. I know I mentioned this at the beginning that we were very mission aligned, and this is in the general education at St. Edward's, there are these additional requirements called mission markers that align with the things that St. Edward's really cares about, right? Our values, our Holy Cross mission, etc. And there are 4 of those mission markers. And inside of our program, inside of our degree, actually there are 3 of those 4 can be met within our degree. Now, this is pending approval because the courses don't exist yet. I can't get them approved until then, but we've been assured that that's going to be a seamless transition. So the social identities, our UX methods course will line up with that. Experiential learning for social justice, our UX for social good class will take care of that. And that's the one I mentioned earlier that's working with a community partner. And then there's a writing rich upper division, and our culminating experience, the UX Senior Studio, will make that, will tick that requirement off for you. I know a number of you on the call are interested in what it's like for transfers. And so this has been a very purposeful choice to develop this program with transfers in mind. And I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. And I know this is a bit of alphabet soup, but at ACC, if you are taking the AAS in UX and UI, and you probably know that's you if that is you, we have a 2+2 partnership, which means that you'll spend 2 years at ACC getting that AAS, and then you'll spend 2 years at St. Edward's getting your BA. And it's a really seamless transition. Actually, 57 of your 60 hours that you get in your AAS will transfer to St. Ed's. And you can complete that remaining 63 hours in 2 years. That's some general education. It's the 7 upper division courses in UX. And it's also some electives. And so that's where that minor might come in for you. Right now, that is the only 2+2 partnership that we have in place, but we are looking for some other community colleges where we might be able to do something similar. Now, if you're like, wait, I don't actually have that, but I have some transfer, some stuff to transfer in, we're happy to also announce that the Texas Common Core, if you've completed that, that also means that your general education is complete and you're transferring into St. Ed's with at least 42 hours, it might be more. And that allows you when you're here to really focus on that 36-hour major, which is largely online. So that just adds some nice additional flexibility. And that way, because you're already done with your general education, there's a real opportunity to get that complementary minor in terms of really beefing up your skill set and interest. So like, if you're really like, I love to write as well, you could become a content strategist, right? Within the UX space. So there's some really nice opportunities there for those remaining electives. So I hope that you'll join us for our new program, and I am more than happy to take questions now. And I know some other folks will jump back on as well. Thanks.
Professor Garza, thank you so much for that excellent presentation and just very comprehensive overview of this program and all of the ways that students can take part in the program, either as transfer students or first-time freshmen. We do have a question from a student who is at ACC and looking to transfer. Just wants to, I think it's probably just worth revisiting the question about just, can this program be completed within the 2-year time frame, given that the general education requirements are not necessarily, or something that there may be additional gen ed classes that they have to take here. So right. I know you just touched on that towards the end of the presentation. I kind of talked about it a little bit throughout, but maybe just an opportunity to revisit that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just change what I'm sharing and show what that looks like. It's not nearly as beautiful, but I do have a document that shows how that works. Absolutely. So I'm going to escape out of that. So just one sec while I get out of this. And
I do think it's worth kind of just, reminding our audience as well that as Professor Garza mentioned, that even as a transfer student, you could come to St. Edward's, complete the UX program and still obtain a minor. There is time to do that within the 2-year time frame, the way that the program is designed. And so that's, that's exciting too, is that you can complete the UX program, but you can also still achieve satisfaction of a minor as well.
Yeah. So here's what that 2 years at ACC, you're already familiar with your Associate of Applied Science degree. Right. And so then when you come over to St. Edward's, what happens is that we've already sort of blocked it out what you might take to get all your extra general education. So we've taken into account what you've already taken as your AAS, and then we'll pull that together. So in the fall, when you come in, you'll take a lot of gen ed actually, and one interdisciplinary elective, which is in UX. The spring of that first year that you're at St. Edward's, you'll take one more major, and then some general education like a language if you don't already have that, and ethics, and then some electives. In your summer, we're recommending that you take one course in the summer, and that's really to, if you wanted to do a much larger semester, you could, but really, taking 5 classes is about normal for most people. And then in your second year in the fall, you'll take 2 major, and because you only have 7 major courses when you're coming in with that AAS. And so there's global perspectives, some electives, and then you finish out with 2 more, and then your electives. So that's how it does piece out to fit. So I don't know if I fully answered your question. If you're at ACC, they actually have this documentation as well. So we can get that to you either through the office there or through us. So
excellent.
Great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Professor Garza. That's great. Is there a specific person at ACC that you would recommend ACC students kind of contact and reach out to if they have questions on the ACC side of things?
Yes, absolutely. So it's Molly McClung, I think is her name. She's the chair of the UX UI program. So she just wrote me yesterday and said, I'm the point person. So
excellent. Fantastic. So we have a question here from a student who wants to know a little bit about when classes begin. So if a student wanted to take classes this summer in UX, could they take classes, or do they need to wait to the fall? I can answer that from an admission side. Typically, if you are applying for admission as a transfer student or first-time freshman, you're not able to take classes until the fall semester or the spring semester. So we don't usually have students kind of join us and start classes with us as a student in the summer. However, there are often summer classes available to students once enrolled. And so I think you just mentioned Professor Garza, classes will be available in UX in the summer. I would assume kind of starting the next summer, correct?
Well, actually, no, there aren't going to be UX in the summer. What we were suggesting, if you're that AAS, that you just take an elective during the summer to fill out to get to you'll need 63 hours once you come over to St. Edward's, and that 3 over 60 is what we're suggesting that you take, and it can be anything during the summer.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In terms of the classes, and certainly, as you know, many transfer students may be kind of managing a job during the day, et cetera. Are there going to be UX classes in the evening? What is kind of the breakdown of evening versus kind of daytime classes in the program?
Yeah, right now they're mostly daytime. And so that's something that we'll be looking at as we move more online. Right now it's just 6 of the classes in the degree are online, anything with the UX DE prefix. And so as we start to ramp this up, we'll be assessing it. Should it be nighttime classes? Should it be daytime? Do we need to add some summer? But right now it is kind of like the 9 to 5 space for those courses.
Excellent. We do have a question here from a student who wants to know just approximately how many students will be in each course in the program.
Yeah, so generally between, right now, the smallest class size would be 10. The largest would be 25. But we're like right now we're looking at in the low teens, particularly starting off. So it's a lot of, there's a lot of opportunity to get to know your professors and each other, that there's a lot of time for that in the class.
Excellent. And that is very much in line with kind of just classes in general at St. Edward's. So even as students are pursuing courses in other departments as part of their minor, for instance, they will find that they will have classes, generally speaking, that are 18 students on average. So that the UX courses are essentially kind of this capacity of the UX classes is very much in line with just classes in general at St. Edward's. I'm going to invite in Dave Bralower if he wants to join us to answer a question about financial opportunities for transfer students, just in terms of merit scholarship, need-based assistance. How can transfer students access resources to be able to enroll?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dinah. My name is Dave Bralower. I'm the director of graduate and transfer admission. So I'm so glad that so many of you are here with us on this webinar. But great question. We do have a lot of financial aid and scholarship opportunities for transfer students. About 88% of our incoming transfer students receive grants and scholarships. The average award is about $23,000. And so you're looking at need-based, merit-based scholarship, merit-based scholarships, which are tied to your academic profile. And those go up to $18,000 per year. And if you're awarded a merit scholarship, you have that award amount per year for up to 3 years. So you can combine that with need-based financial aid, which you're able to apply for by filing the FAFSA. So we do have a lot of financial aid and scholarship opportunities for transfer students.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. And, as a transfer applicant, you are automatically considered for those scholarship opportunities in terms of the merit-based scholarships when you apply for admission. So you don't need to submit an additional application to be considered for academic scholarships as a transfer student or as a first-time freshman applying to St. Edward's. And then, of course, to access need-based financial aid, you would want to file the FAFSA form. And we have a very personalized financial aid office here at St. Edward's. You will have a financial aid counselor who's assigned to you based on your last name, and they will work with you to help you understand your financial aid package as an incoming student, and then also kind of work with you throughout your time here at St. Edward's as well. So if you have any questions for Dave Bralower, our Director of Graduate and Transfer Admission, for us in the admission office in general about financial aid or admission, please do reach out to us. Reach out to Dave by emailing su.admit@stedwards.edu, and we're happy to follow up and give you more information. It's certainly not too late to apply for admission for the fall. I think it's worth kind of mentioning that really quickly. Dave, do you want to go over the deadlines? I will say on the freshman side of things, if you have not yet applied for admission as a freshman and want to join us in the fall, you have until June 15th to apply, so a few more weeks. I would encourage you to do so. If you are considering joining us as a freshman, if you've already been admitted, you have till June 15th to make a decision about whether you'd like to join us here in the fall. You can also apply for admission as a first-time freshman for the spring if you're potentially going to be taking a gap semester or graduating from high school early. Dave, I'll let you talk about the transfer deadlines.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who are interested or looking to transfer, there's still plenty of time to be considered for the fall semester. July 1 is our transfer application deadline. So there's plenty of time, and we typically take transfer students sort of throughout the summer. So to apply, you just need to fill out the application. You can use the St. Edward's transfer app, Apply Texas, Common App for transfers. It doesn't matter which one you choose. We'll look at the application, we'll look at an essay, why you're looking to transfer, and then we'll look at your transcripts. So if you're coming from ACC, for example, we'll just need those. If you've attended, a few different schools, we'll need all of those transcripts. But that's basically all you need to turn in. We'll review your file. As Dinah mentioned, you don't need to apply separately for financial aid for merit scholarships. We'll review your application file. If you're eligible for admission, we'll offer you that and notify you of any academic scholarship. And then we'll get you your financial aid award pretty quickly after you are admitted, as well as an official transfer of credit evaluation. So you can see exactly how your credits are going to fall into place and really be able to know sort of those most important questions for transfer students. How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take me to graduate, and are my credits going to transfer?
Thank you for that, Dave. Professor Garza, I have a question for you here about the UX Studio courses. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the UX Studio courses? For example, will there be any instructions or will it revolve entirely around creating a mock project?
So it is going to be, it'll be a mix. So we'll do some instruction around like concepts and things that maybe we haven't touched on earlier in the program that are related to what we're going to be making. And then we start making, right? So I'm still writing the curriculum right now, so it's kind of exciting. But the studios are really hands-on in terms of getting to get in there and make projects, but that we're pulling the stuff that we already know and building on that as we build. So it's a pretty holistic process in terms of what the studio courses are. Yeah, and so the digital spaces one will be more focused on what are screen-based kinds of things. And the hybrid will be where we stretch out a little bit and maybe think about processes or things that go across both, that live in both the physical world and in the digital space. So it's built to also be really flexible and fluid. So because technology is changing so rapidly, right? So if we see something coming up that's like, gaining some traction, we might spin one of those things into one of those studio classes pretty rapidly. So
that's awesome. Very exciting. So can you talk a little bit about the format for classes this fall? I know that, things are certainly changing constantly with the pandemic, and, kind of the format of classes we were planning for a few weeks ago may be different than what we will be planning for a few weeks from now, just as the situation kind of continues to evolve. But what kind of classroom format can students expect this fall, and then certainly kind of in future semesters as we kind of hopefully move further and further away from the pandemic experience?
Yeah, so well, the interesting thing is all the UX DE prefixes are actually online. So they're not going to be wildly changed as we sort of shift and move and if we come in and out of restrictions. But I will say that I'm working on a really dynamic, there's a lot of interaction, and so there are synchronous class sessions every week. One that is required, and that's very, again, we might be watching, reading stuff and making, and then we come to class and we kind of unpack all of that together through activities, through conversations, through all manner of sort of engaging things. We'll also be doing some stuff that you'll have during the week to do asynchronously. Because it is online, but yet we're still kind of tethered, you'll be taking other classes in person. And so, because not everything is offered online. And so what that really allows us to do is still potentially get to do a workshop on a weekend or something of that nature and come together as a cohort in person as well. Now, if you are taking in-person classes, again, this is the part that Dinah mentioned that's shifting a bit. And might look slightly different once we get to August 23rd. But the expectation is that you will get a face-to-face experience in your classes that are called hybrid or face-to-face. and that you'll get at least one time a week in class with a group of students, a smaller subset of your class, and have that one-on-one interaction with, or that in-person interaction with your faculty member. And then some stuff will either happen asynchronously or a synchronous Zoom session on the other day of your class. That's
Awesome.
my understanding right now.
Yeah, well, I think we've all, if we've learned nothing else in this last year, Professor Garza, it's that we all have to be rather nimble and able to adjust on the fly as the situation dictates. So, which is hopefully something that people who study user experience design will really help to facilitate in our ever-changing and nimble world as we continue on through this pandemic and post-pandemic existence. So we have a question here about basically from a student who already has a bachelor's degree, looking to change careers and trying to decide, should I go to ACC and just do the certificate, or should I come to St. Edward's and end up essentially pursuing kind of a second bachelor's degree? You know, if the student does, you know, kind of go for it in terms of deciding to pull the trigger and study UX design, how many credits or classes would they have to go through essentially? And feel free to kind of contribute a follow-up question for the person who asked that question. Yeah. Feel free to contribute anything follow-up that would help to clarify things.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's I'm glad you're sort of exploring all the options, right? Because each one kind of does something different, right? Like, so the ACC degree is fabulous, right? And it's good. And actually it's one of its main things is about change of career, midstream change of career. So it's built for that. Now, if you are saying, hey, I want to look at like a really kind of like, I don't want to just study UX, but I want to like beef up my, like, gosh, I want to come and add more, right? If you're like like, I'm a lifelong learner, right? Like I would love to go back and like get degree after degree after degree. But if you were like, hey, I'm really interested in, I'm just projecting here. I have no idea what you're interested in, but I'm really interested in writing as well. I want to come and get a writing and a UX degree so that I can really like step out full force into like a UX content specialist space. Then I think that St. Ed's would be the right, that could be a reason why St. Ed's would be a right place. Or if you're really interested in entrepreneurship, right? Like that would be the place where you could come and do both of those things and sort of create a more holistic thing. Now, I don't know how it works when you're coming back for a second bachelor's, how much of your first counts towards your final. So I'm uncertain about how long it would take you to do. And I don't know if David or Dinah knows some of those particulars. But if you're looking at just the 36 hours can be done in 2 years, but you'll have other things to do as well. So
I think the question was, how long did it take to start from over the 4 year? I mean, typically our bachelor's degrees and the undergraduate experience is designed to finish in 4 years. Now, all students are different. It depends on, the pace that you need to go, if you're also, working, but our degrees are set up to finish and to complete within 4 years.
Thank you for adding that, Dave. And I do want to remind, especially our transfer students, but even for potential freshman applicants who are watching this, who have taken some dual credit courses in high school, the admission office at St. Edward's is always happy to provide a transfer credit evaluation to help you understand, of the credits that you already have under your belt, which ones of those will transfer for which courses here at St. Edward's, and essentially kind of what else would you need to take in order to complete your degree. And that is not just for UX design, but also for any degree program that you're seeking at St. Edward's. We're always happy to do a transfer credit evaluation if you have dual credit courses from high school and or credits coming in from community college or another university. We just need your copies of your transcripts and a little bit of time, but our staff is happy to kind of work with you to help assess that, so you have a very clear understanding of essentially what you are kind of looking at needing to complete here at St. Edward's.
Yeah, absolutely. And to piggyback on that, we'll work closely with you throughout that process as transfer students, so that you'll know sort of specifically, what courses you need to take, what's going to transfer, and then how quickly you can finish. So for that one question about the person who asked the question, who's changing careers, I hope that answered your question. I know your situation might be a little bit different than a typical transfer student or a typical first-time freshman. So if you need more information on that, please feel free to reach out to us, individually, and we can talk through what that might look like.
Absolutely. And I think in follow-up, the person who asked that question, Dave and Professor Garza, is basically referring to a program that ACC has that integrates Apple programming with UX UI. And essentially that's kind of the focus they were looking to go, but got interested in UX UI as they read up on it more. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to kind of contribute based on that follow-up information, but feel free.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything extra to add. I mean, I think they're both great options and really determining what you're what you really want out of it, I think will determine which one is the right choice for you at that mid-career.
Yeah, and I think, and just to kind of like tie a bow around this part, this question, and essentially this, I think what the person is kind of getting at is, what is the value of coming to St. Edward's for that 4-year experience, right? Or completing your degree at St. Edward's with that 4-year experience versus kind of just finishing and staying with the 2-year experience at ACC in UX design or any other program. And, to that, and I certainly would invite Dave to share his thoughts as well. But, I will just kind of share briefly that certainly there is value in the experience at a community college and kind of doing an AA or a 2-year degree, but coming to a university and doing a 4-year experience just allows you to get even deeper and broader with your education, right? So you can take classes beyond just kind of a more limited set of courses for your AA. You'll go deeper into the course of major that you're interested in. Hopefully you will find strong connections with faculty, especially here at St. Edward's, where we have such small classes, more time to engage in things like internships or student employment opportunities. Professor Garza, I know you mentioned that there are offices and areas on campus right now ready to hire students who have UX experience coming into the university in the fall. So there will be opportunities to kind of work on our campus with UX, as well as pursue just, a multitude of internship opportunities. And St. Edward's is just, one of the real benefits of coming to a small private liberal arts institution like St. Ed's is that you get a lot of personalized attention through the advising process, to the career coaching process in terms of internships and job planning, to getting involved in student activities and student engagement opportunities, perhaps even study abroad, things like that are going to really enhance your experience. And you just have more time to do those things and to develop those relationships over 4 years versus a 2-year degree. And I realize that for some people, a 2-year degree requires more time. But you essentially, I would say those are kind of, if you're thinking just in broader terms of what is the value of coming to St. Edward's for a 4-year degree versus kind of just finishing at ACC or concluding with a 2-year degree, that's kind of what I would say more generally. And feel free to contribute anything else.
I think I in agreement there.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about just the registration process for the program, Professor Garza. So when a student comes in to St. Edward's as a transfer student or even as a first-time freshman, what does it look like for a student who says, okay, I want to do UX design. How do I get signed up for classes? How do I know what classes I need to take? What does that advising and kind of onboarding process look like?
Yeah, so you'll get an advisor that helps you with that process. And I actually met with them as when this was hot off the presses and shared all the materials with them of like, if somebody's coming in and wants to do UX, these are the classes they take right away, right? So you'd be on the ground if you are coming in with no UX experience, you're going to automatically, that first semester, you're going to be an intro to user experience, right? And your advisor will help you and knows that that's what you need to be in. They've kind of got like a direct line to that. If you're coming in as a transfer and you're gonna, compressing this into a shorter time frame, then they know, oh, you need to actually take more courses, right? And that you need to be enrolled in these. There are also some like prereqs, right? You need to take this before this, and they're aware of all those things. And it's listed, it will be when the 2021-22 course bulletin comes out, they will all be listed in there. I don't know that that's live yet. Is it live? I haven't gone looking for it. So, so you're definitely, you're not just left to go like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, what do I choose? There's a process involved that someone will help you, your advisor will help walk you through that.
I'm Hollis. I'm actually the chair of the Department of Visual Studies. I was just noticing that that question also was asking if, they start in the program, will they be guaranteed to get the classes they need to graduate on time? And I think that one thing we really do in the department is try to make sure that even if we have a lower enrolled class, this is something that's required. It's only offered maybe this semester. So we will always make sure that you can get the classes that you need in the correct order that you need them to be able to graduate on time.
Thank you, Professor Hammonds, for contributing that. So can you elaborate a little bit more on the internship opportunities or the hands-on kind of learning opportunities in the program? Are there partnerships with local agencies or companies at this time? I know you mentioned that there was an exciting partnership for the UX for Social Good course that's going to be offered. So anything you can kind of elaborate, and of course we're in Austin, which is one of the best places to be if you are in a technology field. So I imagine there are many great opportunities already lined up or planned for the future, but anything you'd like to share about that?
Yeah, so we're actually right now working on that kind of outreach to local UX firms and folks who are in those larger companies as part of those teams to start to cultivate those. So right now, we don't have like, oh, we've got these 5 places that we can definitely, we don't generally place folks into internships. It's your responsibility to find one. But what we are committing to is developing the relationships and the sort of like, hey, here's a list, here's the whole crew that can do that. Oops, excuse me. I'll just stop sharing. So there's definitely, those things are being developed as we speak, since it is a new program.
And I think one of the things that's also important to note is that St. Edward's typically hosts a job and internship fair here on our campus once a semester. So, we bring employers to the Hilltop to hire our students for jobs. And that happens not just at the job and internship fair, but throughout the year. We do have a dedicated career center here at St. Edward's that if you are a student at St. Edward's or an alum of the university, you have lifetime access to use the Career Services Center. And they work with you, not just when you're trying to find a job, when you're about to graduate, but certainly from the very beginning when you come in here as a student, when you're looking to do an internship, when you're looking to kind of help understand how to craft your resume, write a cover letter. They provide lots of workshops and opportunities to kind of help you along your whole professional kind of job search trajectory. So that, again, if you come in as a St. Edward student, you graduate from us, you get a great job to start, you decide 10, 15 years down the road, you want to change careers, you have the opportunity to use the Career Services Office here at St. Edward's for the rest of your life, which is a real benefit, I think, to all of our current students and alumni. So let's talk a little bit about just the example of the 2 transfer students, Professor Garza, that I think you shared. The person just commenting that basically they noticed that some of the courses don't appear to be UX focused. And so they just want to kind of go back and maybe revisit that page that you showed and kind of understanding if the coursework is subject to change, how in depth the UX focus is in the program, and anything else you'd like to share in response to that question.
I'm muted. In terms of if you're coming in with that AAS, you have taken sort of all the lower division UX courses. And so you just have 7 upper division courses left. And so when I pulled up the other screen, it is sparse, right? There's 1 to 2 each semester for 2 years. And that's because the AAS was so focused on UX, and we're pulling all that in, and then we're building on it to finish out the degree. If you are coming in as a transfer with no prior UX experience, then you are looking at 3 courses essentially in the UX focus each semester for 2 years. And so that's the sort of difference, is it's many fewer UX courses because there are only 7 courses if you're coming in with that AAS. But if you're coming in with no experience, there are a lot more UX courses in the time that you'll be at St. Edward's. And I'm assuming that answered that question.
I think so. That certainly helps me to understand. And and if there are any kind of follow-ups to that question that the student would like to know, please do feel free to share.
Yeah.
I will say we just have we have a few more minutes. We certainly can stay online as long as there have questions, but I do want to give people an opportunity to contribute any last questions that they might have. Certainly, I know this is a lot of information to process and to take in. We certainly appreciate everyone attending today, and know that as you process this information, you may have questions that you want to reach out to us and ask and follow up. So as you see on your screen, you can always reach out to the admission office at scu.admit@stedwards.edu. If you have questions specific to the UX program and you'd like to reach out to faculty, please email uxde@stedwards.edu and someone will follow up. There is a question related to cost, and I would say we certainly can share kind of more information with you if you email the admission office in terms of cost and pricing. The cost for tuition at the university is pretty easy to find on the university website if you search cost of attendance. You can also find information about scholarship there. Certainly, students generally are full-time students and are taking classes that are, as a full-time student, you can take anywhere from 12 to 18 credit hours for the same price. Tuition is a flat rate when you are a full-time student. If you're taking classes part-time, certainly it's a different, you're paying a prorated rate, if you will, for part-time tuition. Of course, you have to be a full-time student to be eligible for financial aid. And if you have questions that are more specific about cost or scholarships or financial aid, I certainly would encourage you to contact us in the admission office by reaching out at su.admit@stedwards.edu. And we'd be happy to kind of entertain your specific questions, your specific situation, give you some information related to maybe the academic scholarship that you might qualify for, that kind of thing. So generally speaking, you can find a lot of cost information on our website, and it's really just one cost. If you're going to be a full-time student, it's a flat rate. In terms of what you're charged, what you actually end up paying, again, can be very different. As Dave mentioned earlier, we have generous grant packages at St. Edward's because we know that the sticker price is certainly something that most people cannot just whip out a checkbook and pay, right? Most of us are not in a position to do that. And there's a lot of kind of discount on the cost of tuition as you see it listed, because many of our students qualify for academic-based scholarship and or need-based assistance in the form of grants to bring down that sticker price substantially. And if anyone does decide to apply, you can certainly reach out to us in the admission office. As Dave mentioned, there still is ample time to apply for the fall if you're thinking about being a transfer student with us here in the fall or in the spring. If you are a freshman and you are considering joining us in the fall, there is still time, but certainly reach out to us pretty quickly so we can kind of work with you and assist you. Professor Garza, Professor Hammonds, any last comments that you'd like to make about the program before we go?
No, thank you so much for your attention today. We're super excited. And really, if you have other questions, or like for those of you who asked those specific questions about what the transferring of your AAS looks like into our program, feel free to reach out to me at that uxde@stedwards.edu. So thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Professor Garza, for sharing this fantastic information. Thank you, Dave, for being with us today to answer questions related to the transfer admission experience. Certainly, Professor Hammonds, thank you so much for being with us as well. We have a fantastic visual studies department at St. Edward's with art and photo communication, graphic design, video game development, animation. And we're so excited to add user experience design to the portfolio of programs that we offer in visual studies here at St. Edward's. So students, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate your time today and your good questions. We'll look forward to working with you either in the near future or on down the road when you're ready to join us here at St. Edward's. Thank you so much, everyone.